Welcome to Hubs and Drivers, a podcast for building product marketers sponsored by BLD Marketing. I'm Jeff Donaldson, your host. On today's episode, the email open rate conundrum. Thanks for joining us. For years, one of the best ways to measure the effectiveness of an email marketing campaign for your building products brand was to measure the open rate. We covered this in episode 6 of Hubs and Drivers a number of weeks ago when we looked into best practices for email marketing. And as a reminder, the open rate is a percentage of people who opened your email out of the total recipients in the campaign. Then last summer came Apple's decision to introduce what they call mail privacy protection. It could impact anyone who opens their email on an Apple device. And when you think about it, a lot of people have Apple devices. So in many ways, this development has made the open rate a highly less reliable way of measuring the success of an email marketing campaign. Here to unpack this to make some sense out of it is Julia Saunders, Account Director and Digital Strategist with BLD Marketing. Julia, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This is a big change, and it's something that building products manufacturers need to understand and incorporate as they build out their email marketing campaigns. Let's start simply. How do marketers track what's called that open rate?
So again, an open rate is the number of people who open the email out of those who received it. And it's tracked by an invisible tracking pixel located within the body of the email, invisible to any end user. But that is how the signal is sent from the email itself back to the email marketing management system to signify that someone has opened the email.
That's sort of the way to relay to whoever is measuring whether or not it's actually been opened.
Exactly.
So now we're talking about privacy protection when it comes to mail privacy protection with Apple. Talk more about that. What's going on there? What is Apple attempting to do, and why is it significant?
I think that it is significant because the consumer and consumers in any setting, whether it's B2B or B2C, are just getting more savvy about who they're sharing their data with and how that data is being used. People are more aware of that than ever before, and this is an attempt by Apple to motivate more people to use their email management system as opposed to something else like a Gmail app or an Outlook app, by demonstrating that they are invested in the privacy of your data and any kind of messaging that might be coming your way.
So it's instilling confidence in consumers in many ways. So how does Apple's mail privacy protection change things when it comes to open rates? How does that work?
So if someone is using the default Apple Mail app on their phone, not any other kind of email app that could be installed like a Gmail or an Outlook, Apple is eliminating what that tracking pixel
can do.
Exactly. Yeah. So any time a tracking pixel is in an email like that, Apple is registering that as an open. It automatically opens any images, pixels within the email itself. So it's creating a situation where there's inflated open rates because any time that your email is being received by someone who's using that Apple Mail app, it is registering as an open even if someone didn't take that action and demonstrated an interest by actually opening the email.
So it jukes the stats in many ways. It really inflates that open rate, and that's in many ways why it's less reliable, because normally you'd send an email and you'd be able to track the open rate, but now there's something on the other end protecting someone's privacy that opens the email automatically in some ways by eliminating the ability to track. Is that fair in terms of how it's working now?
Exactly.
So with open rates no longer being a reliable benchmark, where do building products brands turn to measure the effectiveness of their campaigns? Because email marketing is still an important part of the marketing matrix for many of our clients and prospects.
For sure. Traditionally in the past, the three big metrics that we would use to track engagement and success of an email marketing campaign would be the open rate, the click-through rate, and the click-to-open ratio. So this change by Apple affects both the open rate and the click-to-open ratio because it's pulling from the same numbers. So our advice would be that the true indicator of how successful the email has been that's not going to be skewed by these attempts by Apple is going to be your click-through rate. So focusing on that, it's going to be the one element that's not as affected by any kind of privacy protection.
And that click-through rate measures once somebody has engaged the email and clicked on a link that's in the email to go to another asset in many ways, right?
Correct.
Right. So it's also important in many ways to up your content game and create more compelling content. Why is that the case here?
Because that compelling content is what's going to motivate people to click on something within the email. So that is going to be the most accurate measure of whether people are engaged with your content.
So we're talking about a specific audience of people who receive emails, people who use Apple Mail when it comes to this change, this mail privacy protection that's been introduced. Is there value in separating out those recipients when you're looking at your database and you're ready to launch a campaign?
I'd say it's really going to depend on the size of your list and the quantity of people who are using that app. So your email management system, whatever you're using, should be able to segment out both by operating system, whether people are reading on a desktop or Apple device or a Android. That will all be separated out, and then additionally the platform that they're using to read the email. So whether that's Apple Mail or the Gmail app or the Outlook app, you'll be able to see how much of your list is affected by that and who's using what. If it's a small segment, maybe less than 10% that are using that, it might not be worth it to do all of those calculations to segment them out. But if you find that a huge percentage of your list is using Apple Mail as their method of reading their email, then you might want to segment that out to get more accurate numbers.
Big changes. Thanks very much for unpacking some of that, Julia. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So how important is email marketing? It's still very important when it comes to your building products brand. Consider this. According to one survey, there are currently 4 billion daily email users. That number jumps to 4.6 billion by 2025. Would you like to learn more about this mail privacy protection and the automatic open rates that we're talking about when it comes to Apple devices? Well, we have a blog post that spells it out. It'll be in the show notes for this episode. Would you like us to cover a specific topic on Hubs and Drivers? Email us at info@hubsanddriverspodcast.com. That's info@hubsanddriverspodcast.com. And if you like what you see in here, we'd love for you to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. That's all for this edition of Hubs and Drivers. I'm Jeff Donaldson. Join us next time.